Konnichiwa, everybody. Domo arigato. I'm so very excited you've found me today and that you joined me for Storytime with Mr. Michael. This is going to be a really exciting one. I think it's very cool. Now, you guys all know how much I love books, or if this is your first time watching Storytime with Mr. Michael, you're going to learn pretty fast. Everybody else could tell you, I'm sure. But here's something you might not know about books. Did you know that books come from everywhere across the whole globe? Around the entire world, people are making and creating and writing and illustrating phenomenal books. And I think it's really important that we search those out, that we look for the kinds of books that other cultures write and make, and we read them so that we can learn from them, we can learn about other cultures, we can learn from other cultures as well. And I'm really excited to get to do that with you today. Today, we're going to be reading The Crane Maiden by Miyoko Matsutani and illustrated by Chihiro Iwasaki. Now, this book comes all the way from Japan. That's about as far away from us here in America, or at least right here in the middle of America where I live, as you can get. Japan's pretty far away, guys. It would take a long time to walk there. A very long time. This book is also pretty old. So this book, let's find out. This book from Japan was, oh guys, it was published here in America, and usually it takes a while for it to come to America after it gets published somewhere else. This book was published in 1968, y'all. That means, guys, that means it's even older than Mr. Michael. That's crazy. Crazy. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have something wonderful and amazing to teach us. Some of my favorite books, in fact, most of my favorite books, come from a really long time ago, and they come from everywhere around the world. So let's find out what's going to happen today in The Crane Maiden, shall we? The Crane Maiden by Miyoko Matsutani, illustrated by Chihiro Iwasaki. Now, this book was translated by Alvin Tresselt. So that means that Alvin, he knew enough Japanese to figure out exactly what they were saying in Japanese and write it again, but in English, so that the rest of us can read it. And that's so wonderful, because most of us wouldn't be able to read books from other cultures and other languages if it weren't for people like Alvin. So thank you, Alvin. Thank you very much, Miyoko and Chihiro, for giving us this beautiful book. So here we go, The Crane Maiden. Long years ago, at the edge of a small mountain village in the snow country of Japan, there lived an old man and his wife. They had little in this world that they could call their own, but they were happy in their life together. Now, one winter morning, the old man set out for the village with a bundle of firewood fastened to his back. It was bitter cold, and he knew he would have little trouble selling the wood. Then, with the money, he would buy some food so that he and his wife would have a good supper. As the old man trudged through the falling snow, he was suddenly aware of a fluttering sound and a pitiful cry of "Caw, caw." Turning from the path to investigate, he came upon a great crane frantically trying to free herself from a trap. The old man's heart was touched with pity for the magnificent bird, and while he tried to soothe the crane with tender words, his hand released the cruel spring of the trap. At once the crane flew up, joyfully calling, "Caw, caw," and disappeared into the snowy sky. With a lighter step, the old man went on through the snow, and when he had sold his wood, he returned once more to his humble house. While his old wife busied herself with preparing supper, he told her about rescuing the crane. "That was a good deed," she said. "Surely the gods will one day reward you for your kind heart." As she spoke these words, there came a tapping on the door. The old wife hastened to see who was there, and upon opening the door, beheld a beautiful young girl standing in the swirling snow. Her delicate face glowed like a peach beginning to ripen in the summer sun, and her dark eyes sparkled in the dancing firelight from the hearth. "Forgive my knocking at your door," she said in a soft voice, "but I have lost my way in the snow. May I share the warmth of your fire tonight?" Then, bowing low before the two old people, she said, "My name is Tsuru-san." "Oh, you poor child," cried the wife. "Come in at once before you freeze in the bitter cold." They sat the girl down close to the hearth, and the old wife piled more wood on the flames so that the girl would soon be warm. The old couple shared their simple supper of hot porridge with Tsuru-san, all the time feasting their eyes on her great beauty. Then they gave her their bed with its warm quilts to sleep on, while they spent the night huddled on a pile of straw. In the morning when they awoke, the old man and his wife were surprised to see a good fire already burning on the hearth. The water urn was filled with fresh, clean water, the floors had been swept, and all the rooms were clean and tidy. Tsuru-san, the sleeves of her kimono neatly tied back with a red cord, was busily stirring a pot over the fire. "Good morning," she said, bowing to the old couple. "If you will wash your hands, we may eat breakfast, for the porridge is cooked and ready." "In our old age we have a daughter," said the old man, laughing. "It is the gods smiling on us for your good deed of yesterday," replied his wife happily. The snow and bitter cold continued for many days, and so Tsuru-san stayed in the shelter of the old couple's home. As she had neither mother nor father, it was at last decided that she would remain as a daughter to these people. The children of the neighborhood were soon attracted to the house, as the girl was such a delight to be with. The house rang with happy laughter, and the hearts of the old man and his wife were filled with joy at the sound. And so, the days of early winter passed, and soon it would be time for the great New Year celebration. The old man spoke to his wife, saying, "Tsuru-san has been such a delight to us. If only I could give her the gift of a new kimono. Or if I could make her a rice cake for the New Year," his wife added. But alas, the winter had been hard. The old man had not been able to cut wood to sell, so there was no money to even buy rice, much less a kimono. Now Tsuru-san had overheard them talking, and it grieved her that these good people should be so poor. Coming before them, she bowed low and said, "Dear parents, I know there has been no wood to sell, but perhaps I can help you and repay your great kindness to me. There is an old loom in the back room. I will weave cloth on it for you to sell in the village, only you must promise that no one shall look at me while I am weaving." The old man and wife thought this was an odd request, but they readily agreed. Tsuru-san locked herself in the room, and soon they heard the sound of tin-kola, kola, pom, pom, tin-kola, kola, pom, pom, as the shuttle sped back and forth and the fabric grew in length. For 3 days this continued, and Tsuru-san paused for neither food nor rest. Then at last the door opened, and she stepped out, holding in her hands a bolt of cloth such as the old man and his wife had never seen in all their lives. They gasped at its beauty and marveled at its incredible softness. "Dear father," said the girl, "take this cloth into the village and sell it. It will be but small payment for the happy home you have given me. Remember this, however," she continued, "do not put a price on this cloth, and you will fare better than you can imagine." Without wasting a moment, the old man hurried into the center of the village, and when people saw the beautiful cloth he was carrying, a crowd soon gathered. "I will pay 10 gold pieces for your cloth," said one man. "No, no," cried another. "Sell it to me for 20 gold pieces." You would be a fool to sell it at such a price, old man, said another. This is a bolt of rare twilled brocade, and I will pay you 50 gold pieces for it. And so it went, with each man offering more, until the old man finally sold the cloth for 100 pieces of gold. Pausing only long enough to buy rice for rice cakes, a kimono for Chihiro-san, and a few delicacies for New Year's Day, the man hurried home with his pockets jingling. Tomorrow, tomorrow is the New Year's Day, he sang. The New Year is the happy time, eating rice cakes whiter than snow, drinking sake that is smoother than oil. Then such a hustle and bustle there was as the old man and his wife prepared for the feast. As he pounded the rice, his wife made it into fine white cakes. And on New Year's Day, all the children came in for a great party with their friend, Tsuru-san. Still the cold days of winter followed, one after the other, until at last one day, Tsuru-san said to the old couple, "It is time for me to weave another bolt of cloth for you so that you will have money to live until the spring returns. But remember what I told you. No one is to look at me while I am working." Again, they promised they would not, and the girl once more locked herself in the room and began weaving. Tin-kola, kola, pom-pom, tin-kola, pom-pom with the loom. One day passed, and then the second. Still the sound of the loom filled the house. By now the neighbors had grown curious. "Is Tsuru-san weaving again?" asked one. "Ah, soon you will have more gold pieces to hide under the floor," said another with a smile and a wink. "The loom makes such an interesting sound," remarked the first one. "I would love to see what Tsuru-san is doing." "We have promised not to watch her while she works," said the old man. "What an odd request," cried one of the people. "I would not make such a promise to my daughter, you can believe me. What harm could there be in taking one look?" Now, in truth, the old woman had been most curious, and encouraged by her neighbor's remarks, she stepped up to a crack in the door. "Stop, stop, old woman," cried her husband when he saw what was happening. "Tsuru-san has forbidden it." But it was already too late. His wife had already peeked through the crack. What a sight it was that met her eye. There, sitting at the loom, was a great white crane, pulling feathers from her body and miraculously weaving them into cloth. The old woman stepped back from the door, and before she could relate what she had seen, the door opened. Out stepped Tsuru-san, thin and pale, holding in her hands a half-finished bolt of cloth. "Dear parents," she said in a weak voice, "I am the crane you rescued from the trap. I wanted to repay your kindness by weaving you another bolt of cloth." Then her eyes filled with tears. "But now you have seen me in my true form. I can no longer stay with you." With this, she kissed the man and wife tenderly and walked out of the house. Instantly, she became a crane once more, and with a great whish of her wings flew up to the sky. Slowly she circled overhead, then with a single cry of "Ko!" as if to say goodbye, the crane maiden was gone forever. The end. Wow. Well, goodness, everybody. This book was really, really beautiful and really beautifully written. There were a lot of funny words in it, too. Words from Japanese, like kimono. Kimono's kind of a funny word. We don't use that here in America very much, but it means a very particular kind of dress or outfit that a woman in Japan might wear. But even though some of the words might have sounded a little funny, the kinds of things the book was talking about were very real to all of us. This book is saying that if you can be kind to someone, or to an animal, or to anything, you should be kind, because kindness is repaid. It says that the people that you find in this world and in this life that you grow to love, those people are your family, even if they're not the people you were necessarily born to. We find our family, we find kindness the same all over the world. Love and kindness matter, and so do books, and so do you. I want to thank you so much for joining me once more for Storytime with Mr. Michael. Thank you for joining me for this beautiful book. Thank you for watching. And please let me know in the comments below what your favorite book is, so next time I might be able to read it on Storytime with Mr. Michael. Okay, bye-bye everybody. See you next time.